our employees should talk to us. That's what the charter says. And that's what the charter is. So now we're gonna violate the charter and allow this to continue, or we'll keep on getting billed. Cause I'm looking right here and it says that the extra payments, but then we're paying for legal service personnel, that was $11,000. Maybe if it was reporting to the city committee, I don't know why somebody it looks like people are loading up in the summertime. We paid all that money in grass last month. Now we're paying another $2,000, and now we got this almost $20,000, almost 20 grand in legal fees. This is an employee of the commission. He should report to the mayor, and that's the way it should go. That's the way the charter says it. And if not, we need to suspend the charter and amend the charter and do it a different way. But these are employees of the commission, not the city manager.
Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I guess we can't have it both ways, but upon our request, our legal attorney has been attending our meetings. But the strange thing about it, and we continue to pay these payments, it should not be the city manager that's explaining, but when come time for updates, we should get that from our attorney. And just something that Pro Tem Seat stated, I think that this is a year now that we've gained back local control, and we need to start acting like we have control of our city again. And that's redoing a lot of the things that the emergency management bad law has put into place and implemented upon this predominantly black community. It's time for us to act like we have local control again.
I would just weigh in that, you know, through the email, I would like to be informed of certain cases, which you have done in the past in terms of different things you were working on. However, matters as it relates to day-to-day affairs, obviously I'm in no position to be present at court cases, litigation, tribunal as the manager. So I can understand in truth how that interaction, that explanation, where the case is or strategy, what have you, would be discussed with the manager, because he is the person who is responsible for day-to-day affairs and as it relates to other administrative issues. However, I would like to be informed, and as I have stated, you have informed me in the past. Some of this I have not seen, but in the future, if you could.
I'll be happy to.
Thank you. Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, I thank you for even standing up for the party, the Democratic body that we have here. But we should really take it a little further. It is a commission run, and if one gets information, we all should get the information. It's hard for one person to have all the information and trying to get work out of 8 more people that are dumb to whatever's going on. So we all need the information. The mayor has to, if he's going to get it and send it out to us, that's fine. But 5 department heads work for us as a body, not as one single person. So I will ask that information is given out to the full body, for sure. Thank you.
I think that's very reasonable. The city clerk, forward the email to her, she can forward it to the city council. That's a great idea. Chairwoman of Communications. Commissioner Harrelson.
I certainly agree. That's all I have to say.
Are there any more? Carry none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to our update. My county commissioner representing us in Marion County, Honorable Commissioner Yap.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Muhammad, Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Commissioners, staff, community. My name is Mamie L. Yarbrough. I live at 228 Territorial Road, Benton Harbor, Michigan. And I thank you all for this opportunity. I try to put together some things and think of what would be of value to you. And because I knew that you would not meet again until July, it starts with the same letter, July 16th. I wanted to get the information to you all about the tax sale. I hope that you received it. I brought the packets of the property and left them in the clerk's office, hoping that you all have a mailbox or something so that you would have all the properties that are in the tax sale. And I want to let you all know and let the community know that the Marion County Treasurer land auction will be July 31st and September 18th. And it's at the Dank at 2651 Pipestone Road, Benton Harbor, Michigan. The bidder registration begins at 8 a.m. and ends at 9:30 a.m. No registration is accepted after 9:30 a.m. and the sale starts promptly at 9:30 a.m. If you do not have this paper, or if there's someone in the audience that would like to know, you can look on the website. It's listed there. Every property is there on the computer at marioncounty.org, or you can go to the county administration building on Main Street in St. Joe and purchase this. It's $5 for each booklet, and it's at the Marion County Treasurer Brett Witkowski's office. So if you have questions and you'd like to ask me more from this book, I may can tell you something. I'm not an expert on it, but I have gone, and it's very interesting to see. I ask that you remember that it's July 31st and then September 18th, 2018. I have one other announcement that I would like to make. I wear many hats, and as the political liaison for Second Baptist Church, I would like to let you know that our pastor, Reverend Kenneth M. Gavin, wants our people to know about the candidates that are running. And so he and I have worked together and put together a Meet the Candidate. It's Sunday, July 22nd at Second Baptist Church. It's at 1:20 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. We hope right after church. If you would come, what I've done is gotten in touch with the Marion County Democratic Party and the Marion County Republican Party and asked them to notify all the people that are running for offices, and they have done that. And I believe it because I have received calls from Republicans and from Democrats saying that they would come, or there are some that maybe could not come. I'm expecting more. So we want to let you know it's in our community, our dining room at Second Baptist Church on this Sunday, the 22nd. And I do hope you'll come, ask questions, meet the candidates. There are a lot of people running, and this is an extremely important year, as I think every election that we have is. So that you should have questions or want to know more, please join us at Second Baptist Church. Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to our update from our Director of Dollaride or Twin Cities.
Good afternoon, Mayor,
Mr. Alex Little.
Mayor Benton, other commission members and public. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to be here this evening and kind of just give you an update on what's happening with Dollaride. And here to my right, Todd Shern, here to my right is Todd Shern, who's heading the University of Michigan Smart Cities project, that's working with us on a number of different issues that we have going on. Just briefly to begin with, I'll just kind of tell you what the first 12 months have been like at Dollaride. I started May 22nd, and 2 weeks later, the Federal Transit Administration walked in with one of their people to do what they call a triennial review, where they go through all of your processes and procedures and everything, and basically tell you what you're deficient in and what they want you to do about it and that kind of thing. Now, that went on for about the first 4 to 6 weeks with them coming and going and so forth. After they left, I had a list of about 25 things that needed to be done and completed in place by September 30. This booklet that you see here, the Policies and Procedures Manual, was the result of responding to that, because many of those things we did not have in place. And interestingly enough, some of those had been raised previously, but they didn't really come down as hard on it as I think it was kind of like, okay, we got a new director now, and you're there, we want you to clean all this stuff up, and we want you to do it post haste. Everything was to be done by September 30, except one matter that I told them would take at least until December 30, and that was coming to terms with SwimPac and Twin Cats on a interagency agreement as to how we would function. Because one of the things I picked up on very early there and understood, because I've worked with planning commissions and MPOs over the years in different places. Here, they kind of tangled to where you can't tell from one moment to the next which one you're really dealing with. Mm-hmm. And it's causing us some serious problems, particularly as it relates to this Variant Connect thing. As soon as I was able to get a handle on what FTA was requesting to be done, the matter of this attempted takeover and Variant Connect and whatnot became the next topic that consumed one awful lot of time. And we've gone back and forth in meetings and whatnot on that kind of thing. And basically when you get into that kind of stuff, it's a lot of reading. I went back and started reading everything that had been put out on it, including this 2014 study that was already 2 or 3 years old when it was put together. And a lot of the information in it certainly now defective. They just come out with a new funding for a new study that really was not a study. All it did was took the old 2014 stuff, regurgitated it, and put it out here as fact, when in reality it is in fact. And to demonstrate just how the little attention was given to talking about a new study, the thing came out in 2017 and basically was still saying that the board of Takata was appointed by the emergency manager. They didn't even change that, and the emergency manager's been gone for at least a little while. So as I said, it's no new study. And that issue, I thought we had just about gotten it to sleep, but it isn't. It's still going. Went to a meeting last Wednesday at which there was a what do they call it, group of all of the representatives of different towns.
Southwest Michigan Leadership.
The Leadership Council, yeah. And they had Pat, the head of the steering committee for Swim Pack, doing the presentation. Got up, did the exact same presentation that we pretty much discredited already, and that, you know, it talked about stuff like, we can provide, we've already got $4.3 million, of which 2.5 of it is Tocadas, and that we need to get 2.6 from millage, that nobody's ever passed, and we'll be able to provide the same service to the current communities and better without even having to buy any new buses. And I told them, that's nonsense. We got 25 buses. We do almost 200,000 rides a year. 25% of our rides go to Lakeland Hospital, Lakeland Medical Center, and Intercare. 29% of them are going between Benton Harbor and Myers and Walmart and stores out there. Now, how can somebody take the same buses, keep that level of service going, and then do all of this fixed routes to South Bend, to Buchanan, and all these other places are talking about fixed routes? So in any event, I'll close on that point, because it's one that still consumes a lot of time and energy, because it's just not real to start with. But internally within the organization, when I walked in, I found that we were spending $20,000 a month for our maintenance bill. We were spending $27,000 a month for our health insurance. And you take that $27,000 a month, that's over $300,000 a year, and only not even covering all of the employees. But nevertheless, as I started to go through these things and trying to fix what needed to be fixed, I mean, for example, I was looking at invoices where we were paying taxes, $50 in taxes here and 20 taxes there, and we're tax exempt. Shouldn't be paying taxes, so we stopped that. But there were just a number of these things. I realized that there was some problems that I still didn't quite have a handle on, and we just got our audit for 2017, and it pretty much gives me what I needed and confirms what I was already suspecting in terms of a number of things that we've got to deal with. I mentioned to you at the last time that I was here, the problem related to the reduction in the local match that's taking place as a result of brownfield and some other tax abatements and so forth that have been given. In addition to the about $30,000 that brownfield captured out of the money that's supposed to be supporting transportation. There was IFTs, industrial facilities exemptions, accounted for 2,066 that was taken out of the money in the 2017 year. Property tax abatements under the multifamily and business process took $4,949. Another $7,769 was taken out of it from personal property tax exemptions under Public Act 328 and Public Act 318 Brownfield Authority, $30,821. As I indicated to you, and it's mentioned in the audit in several places, that the transportation operation is actually being adversely affected and jeopardized by the loss of these matching funds. The federal allocation for us is going up. Previously it was about $964,000. This coming year it's $1,016,000. The state match is still there, although we can't be sure how long it'll be there. But basically, you don't get a better deal anywhere for your money, because this what was about $140,000 to $180,000 was leveraging a total $2.5 million a year for Dollaride, which employed some 40 people, kept 25 buses on the street, and you really get a bang for your buck. As I said, we're hauling over 15,000 people a month. Some other good things that are happening that we've been working on is starting to introduce technology into our operation to try to better improve the pickup times and delivery times on people. I've been, ever since I've been there, determined, even though it's kind of upset some people that work there, but I've told them that my goal is to see to it that people are not sitting around for an hour and a half to 2 hours waiting on a bus. Benton Harbor's too small, we got too many buses, too many employees to have that situation. There's no reason that when we tell people, you call and give us an hour and we'll pick you up, that we could not be there an hour in a town that's only 4.5 square miles. But that's been the case, and I'm determined to stop it. I'll mention a couple of other things. As a matter of fact, today is a significant one for us. We've been working together with the University of Michigan on putting together a grant proposal to respond to the governor's mobility challenge grant. And how'd you know and tell them about it?
Good evening, the City Commission. Today, as Director Little mentioned, is a milestone. We submitted a proposal to the MDOT challenge to deploy autonomous vehicles here in the Benton Harbor area. The vehicles would reside at the old Sears Automotive Center and would be able to transport people from what we would convert, which is part of this grant. The Sears Automotive Center would become a mobility hub, essentially a transfer point. And so all the folks going to destinations in the business district would be transported by Dollaride to this mobility hub, and then once at the mobility hub, they would be transported the remainder of the route to this particular store by autonomous vehicle. We are in partnership with a autonomous vehicle company called May Mobility that is in Ann Arbor. They're the ones who have the contract for the Dan Gilbert loop in Detroit. I don't recall the name of his company. Dan Gilbert. Okay, he owns the Cavs and he owns Quicken Loans, and there's a autonomous vehicle loop that's currently in operation in the city of Detroit, and so we are in the same boat in terms of partnering with the AV company, and so that's a part of it. But the other part of it is the app that we so desperately need, so that when people want to know where the buses are and they're not there, they'll be able to look on their phone and actually see when the bus is coming. And so that's a part of it. In addition, there are some other renovations to this space, which would be adjacent. Again, it would be an indoor transfer space. And so adjacent to that space, we wanted to look at some kind of community center or room or someplace where people could easily get together, because there's folks that don't have transportation, and so sometimes it's kind of difficult for them to convene. So if we can convene them in a place that's already convenient to access, then hopefully we'll get better outcomes. So there'll be more, and you'll hear about that later, but I want to thank Director Little for all his hard work in this, which has really been a tremendous effort, so thank you.
I should mention we've been working on trying to get a passenger facility for most of the last year since I've been there, because one of the things that became very obvious to me early on as a problem is that we run daily 15, 20 buses with 1 or 2 people going to these same locations back and forth. And when you're taking a big bus that's getting 5 miles to a gallon, making that many runs, it's obviously not the most efficient way to do things. Also, we had the problem that when you, especially people returning, if somebody calls from Walmart or Myers and it's gonna take an hour for a bus to get there, they're standing there at the door waiting. Somebody they know comes out and they say, hey, give me a ride. And they get them, they go on about their business. Well, they don't call us and tell us that they're not there. But we run the bus out there, bus, gas, the operator's time, we sit there and wait on them, they don't show up, it's a no-show. And we get a huge number of those, and that just, it's a waste of resources. By setting up a transfer facility like this, we take people there, they get off, we take them around continuously where they can get off and on as they need to at the different stores. They come back, they get a bus from there. We pick up whoever's there. We don't have that no-show issue anymore, and it saves us a lot of money in that. And so putting that together with this AV project, when the governor's announcement came out, this looked like a great opportunity to get in and address it. So I'm going to stop there. I know you've got limited time. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer.
Due to the agenda, we will bring you back through one of the committees.
Okay.
So the city clerk will contact you, and we'll have time for questions. And,
Thank you.
thank you. This brings us to the public hearing for the annual action plan and amendments. I'd like to officially open that. I'd like to yield to our Community Development Director, Mrs. Sims.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Tonight we have, there's two items before you. And first and foremost, I'd like to apologize for the late notice on these items. As I'm still new to this position and trying to get a handle on when things are due for publication for the meetings. So again, I apologize. And the only reason I did not bring this forth wait to bring it forth to your next meeting is because this is going to be the second public hearing on our CDBG funds. Our annual action plan for 2018 is due at the beginning of August, and so it's imperative that we take some action, or that you take action this evening, at least on the action plan portion, which will be item number 2. So the first item before you is the reprogramming of funds from previous years, from 2014 through 2017. So these are funds that we currently have in our CDBG line of credit that are sitting there that have not been spent for various reasons. And so, as you are aware, we discussed previously, the HUD, or the CDBG program, grantees are required to meet what's called a timeliness ratio, where you're not, as a grantee, you're not allowed to have more than 1.5 times your entitlement grant amount for your current program year. This timeliness ratio is checked every May. In 2017, May 2017, we failed to meet our timeliness ratio, and we also failed to meet it again in May of 2018. Because of this, the repercussion has been that City Manager Watson and myself had a meeting with HUD, where they, HUD headquarters, that is, not our, including our Detroit field office representatives, where they asked us numerous questions about the reasons why we have not been able to meet our timeliness ratio and what we intend to do to meet it by May of next year. So as As of right now, HUD is in the process of reviewing all of the information that we provided them, and they are in the process of determining whether they are going to allow us to have our 2018 funds, which we have not received yet. So we're kind of just, we have not heard anything from them at this time, so we're just kind of waiting on them. But in the meantime, we need to continue to move forward. And so one of the things that we have done is we've put together a plan or a budget to spend the funds that we currently have between 2014, the program years 2014 and 2017. As of right now, the city has approximately $1.1 million in its line of credit. And we need to, and our timeliness ratio is approximately 2.7. So we need to spend a lot of money in a short amount of time. As you know, the year is coming to a close and May will be here before we know it. So in light of this, again, we've put together a budget that you'll see on, or a proposed budget that is, that you'll see on page 3, the third page of that item in your packet. And it looks like this. Everyone has it. Okay. So just to kind of quickly go through this, I tried to, the last time we met, I brought a big spreadsheet, colored graph that you may remember. I tried to kind of scale that down and make it more, I guess, bite size and able to be digested a little bit easier. So that's this table, and I'll go through it very briefly. So the first box is CDBG administration and planning. These are funds that we use to administer our program. We're capped at how much we can actually allocate in this category. So we're capped at 20% of our grant for this category. So we have CDBG program administration. We're budgeting $80,000 for that. We have our master plan update, which as many of you know, our master plan is out of date and not in compliance with Michigan Planning Enabling Act. So we budgeted $15,000 for that. And then we also have our analysis of impediments preparation, which we've been budgeted for $20,000. And what that is it's a requirement of HUD that we look at what some of the analysis of the impediments to fair housing are in our community. And so this is a plan to outline those and how we can begin to address those. Again, this is a requirement by HUD, and it's something that we certify every program year that we actually have one. Every time we sign our grant agreement with HUD, and we don't have one. So we're grossly out of compliance with that. The next box consists of proposed projects and activities. So these are projects that we, outside of that administration and planning. So again, we have code enforcement, which you may recall we fund one code enforcement officer here at the city. We have the home rehabilitation loan program, which is currently underway. We've budgeted $225,000 for that. That includes the $170,000 contract that we have with Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency as our third-party administrator, as well as some overage because we have been coming into, we've been dealing with some homes that actually need more than $25,000, the $25,000 loan maximum can provide. And a lot of these items are very necessary to to health and safety. And so because of that, we are allowing them to go beyond that $25,000 loan amount. We have the Farmers Market Pavilion, so $193,000. This is going towards the Market Pavilion. This is our match that, as you may recall, we received a grant award from the USDA for $60,000 for the Market Pavilion. We were required to put in a local match of those funds, and this is going to be basically the balance of what it's going to cost for that pavilion. We have the Bus and Sickle Street infrastructure improvements. This is another HUD required project that will provide street and sidewalk improvements through the bus apartment complex. We also have our summer youth employment program, which is currently underway. We've budgeted $25,000 for that. The new items that we've added to this budget, which you may recall, maybe not, is the repair of the basketball court at Hall Park. That's something that I've been in touch with the Park Conservancy about. I've also talked to Art Paving, or I guess that's what they're called, regarding this and what's going to be required to fix that basketball court. It's pooling water. Basically, there's a large tree that has branches that's buckling the basketball court, and so water is pooling there. So this is something that's on behalf of the Park Conservancy. Another park project is the replacement of the play structure and swings at Frank's Park for $10,000. The park, some of you may know, the play system there has a large hole in it in the slide, and is a danger to anyone who's using it. Also, the slides are raised up too high off the ground, so if a child were to slide down, there would be a tremendous drop onto the ground, where a child could definitely get really hurt. And so the city is, we're responsible for that, even though the park maintenance, or the Park Conservancy maintains the park, the city is still the owner of the park and can face a lawsuit should something happen. And then we have first-time homebuyer loans for the NSP homes that we're still trying to sell at 956 Pavone and 1111 Superior. MISTA has given us a deadline of September 30th to dispose of these two homes by either selling them or tearing them down and repaying the money that we used to rehab them. So we have contracted with Deborah Patterson of Active Realtors to actively market these homes. We've had a few folks who have been interested here and there, and unfortunately nothing has ever just panned out. They fall off, they just, as they call it, they go ghost. That's as the kids use that term. They just disappear. So, and then the next box is Dial-A-Ride, and as you heard Mr. Little tonight, the Dial-A-Ride is in need of additional funds to meet their local match that they're required to have by the FTA, and so they are requesting that we consider providing them with $46,000 to help meet that local match and offset their expenses. We also have the Fair Housing event with Southwest Michigan, which this body has already approved. It's already actually happened already. We really had a good turnout. We had about 20 people there. It was a really good discussion, and people were very satisfied with it. And then the last thing is the Section 108 repayment. As you may recall, the city took out Section 108 loans through HUD many years ago, which we're still repaying back. These funds are already there. They will help us to repay those loans as we are required to do. And that is the proposed budget for the entire $1.1 million.
Thank you, Director Sims. This brings us to a public comment. This is not a question and answer section. It is strictly for public comment. I will begin with the panel, and then we will conclude with comments from the audience, residents. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. A lot of this looks unusual to me, so I just asked that our director would clarify for our residents the we she's talking about to put this together.
Honorable Mayor.
But this is not, it's just comment. So each person just makes comments. Once we close the public hearing and we deal with discussion and debate on the actual agenda items, then there will be time for discussion, question, etc. Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. Unfortunately, it would have been great if we'd have had a PowerPoint or something for the residents to see exactly what these numbers are, but we don't have them. And I have a couple questions to ask. So some of the numbers have changed since the last time I saw them. $80,000 for the administrative changed a little bit. I don't think it was at 80,000 before. And then the master plan update, is that to hire and outsource someone to come in and help us with our master plan? The farmer's market, there's a difference in the price there too. I'd like to have more information on that. Summer youth program for the summer of 2018, that drastically changed. I remember us saying we had 43,000, and at one time there was several years that hadn't been spent, and we found out later that that was an incorrect statement. So now it's at 25. That's I don't know, 4 or 5 students, young youth working for the summer. Also, is that a loan for those 2 houses, the 46,000? Or is that if we don't do anything to it, that's the money we have to pay back? Question. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I do remember chairing the first public hearing, and I do wish we would have had some of these add-ons there, because I would have asked some different questions. 46.4 is repeated from the first time home buyer loan, which I do understand that, because if we cannot get somebody to get a bank loan, I thought the conversation we had that we would become the fiduciary and sell the house, and the person would be able to live in the house and just pay back the money. But I do got a question with the 46.4 with Dollar Ride. Is this a loan, a grant? Are we just giving it to them? Which we'll come back to that later. But having a presentation done by Carlton Brooks, who's president of Conservancy. Speaking of him, some of these repairs he never asked for, but some people acted on their own kind and asked for them on behalf of the Conservancy. And if the Conservancy is not aware of the reciprocation of this money, we can't just give them money and they're unaware. When I spoke to president of the Conservancy, he said that no one was to act on behalf of the Conservancy or act under the authority of the Conservancy without it being basically talked about by the Conservancy. But, and I know where this came from because I was at the same meeting, but after this meeting, Mr. Brooks did state that they did have some resources. So if they do have resources there to do some of this work, I would ask that we speak to him before we start giving out donations that they might not need all of it. They might need some of it, but because we've been listening to other people who acted on behalf of the Conservancy. So can we not talk to the president of that organization before we do that? Lastly, code enforcement has always been a part of this grant, long as I've been the chairman of that committee for probably 7 years or 6 years, I don't know, it's been 8 years, too long. But has it been established that the one that's working on this grant under this money can't be working on behalf of the city too? They can't be doing the grass citations. They can't be doing the other things. The only thing that this person can do is under what HUD has assigned for this code enforcement to do, because I will not have this person commingling or getting money for doing outside work when they're getting paid by the grant, which the grant is specific. So if the grant is specific, they're only supposed to do what CDBG has allowed them to do, and not to be out here talking about grass cutting and finding couches in the ravines and all this other kind of stuff. That is not their responsibility unless it has something to do with CDBG. And that is a correct statement. I don't need an answer for that. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I was at one of the meetings, and I think I was asking a question about how could some of the monies or whatever be used to deal with potholes, some of the streets. I think I kind of got some clarity that it could be, or I don't know. And I look at this list, and you know, there's a lot of stuff on there that's real good, you know, but I think about, you know, a house, you know, I got a house, I need some furniture, you know, but I also need a roof, you know, which one is more important, you know, so, and, you know, just looking at the dire need to do something, you know, with our streets, and I know all this stuff is fine, but you know, you get a house on Superior, on the street Bone, and on their way there, they tied up their cars and stuff. So I thought one time we was talking about maybe trying to do something with the dire need to get some of the streets fixed, you know, at least to make them safe. We know that it's definitely not enough money to go down, do all the infrastructure and all that stuff, but to make them safe, it's something we're gonna have to give up and make some sacrifices for to at least get the streets safe. And so that's really kind of my concern with this. I don't know, I know $1.1 million, probably could do a lot, but I don't know.
Commissioner Adams.
Just re-glancing over the list, what had happened to anything having to do with the armory? The thing that the biggest discussion was about.
It's $100,000 allocated for the armory. Did you receive a hard copy? It's on, if you look at the City of Benton Harbor CDBG draft action plan budget FY 2018 allocation of $437,748. In the third line item, it reads Bobo Brazil Armory repairs. Make the maximum repairs necessary to make the Bobo Brazil Armory functional. Programming for a total investment of $365,870,90. This will be year one of a 3-year investment, and then it has $100,000 proposed activity cost. Is that registering?
Not exactly. I thought that it was going to be a shovel-ready project, which our director stated that this money had to be used for ASAP before we lost it. And I think that it being one of Benton Harbor's treasures for our children, as well as a lot of other events and purposes, that's exactly what we should be doing, because for far too long already, before it got in the condition that it's in,
It's money allocated.
okay, but is it enough to?
Well, we're only dealing with $437,000, but the investment is 3-year. But out of this particular pile, so to speak, 100,000 is being used or proposed.
Honorable Mayor.
I should say, yes, ma'am.
Honorable Mayor, I don't know how much money we just approved to have it sealed up so that no more damage can be done.
Okay,
But
so.
it's constantly happening.
Right, I don't want for the public hearing.
Okay.
We can discuss these things once we get into
Okay,
debate or discussion.
thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to yield and open for the public comment portion of the public hearing. Please rise to the microphone, Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'm glad I'm here. I want to talk about Dial-A-Ride. When I heard that there was an allotment of $46,000 to Dial-A-Ride, and I thought I heard it say that it was a match or a contribution, I want you all to know some history. Benton Harbor residents voted a millage for Dial-A-Ride many years ago, 30 or more years ago. And I was very much involved in that. And then it was renewed. The citizens voted and renewed it. And so I'm asking that you all support that contribution or match, because our citizens support Dial-A-Ride with our usage, those of us that have property with our millage, and no other community in Berrien County puts a penny in it. And so I'm asking you all, $46,000 is not much money out of 1.6 million. So every time you do something, I'm asking you all to do something to help Dial-A-Ride to be able to continue. Because the outside, and I'm sitting and listening to things and almost know too much about what the plan is for Dial-A-Ride. Don't let them take it. That's what I say.
Right. Thank you.
Are there any other? This is not citizens' comments, this is a public hearing. Anybody can rise and speak as it relates to it.
we can't, don't tell me what to do. If you guys have any intentions of stopping dial ride, for any reason that you might come up with, I know it's only one that you could really come up with because that's part of the process. And you guys ask that the citizens support you and trust the process. Now, how much trust do we have in you about our dial ride? And you guys can't even get the city manager to talk to you. How much trust do we have in this system? I'm going to tell you how much I have because I'm the only one in control of this. I don't have much faith in you because you don't make the city manager, you don't discuss things with the city manager or vice versa, and you don't command it like you're really supposed to. I think you should do this, but you don't. You find every reason and everything to help all of these outside entities do what they want to do. I mean, you put on your little suits and ties and you come in here smiling and the citizens are sitting here watching you. And when it comes time for us, for you to do something for us, like put some water in Mr. Mickey Yarborough Park, or make sure the porta potty is in our park, on our river. I don't know if it is or not. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. If it's there, then I'll back up on that. But I don't know for sure. But when it comes to working together, from where I sit, I don't see you guys working. Well, I put it this way: I don't see the city manager or nobody else working with the commissioners. That should change today, because all of you guys, I don't know how many of you, but some of you guys are running for office again, and I'll be the one trying my hardest to get you out of it if you're not for and about the citizens. And all of this other stuff we voting on, we should think about ourselves. We don't have water in Mickey Yarborough Park. We don't have buoys out. We still got boats laying around on the bank at Jean Claude Park. We don't have do we have a camera system at Jean Claude Park? Do we have a camera system in here? I mean, time is going on. It's almost the end of the summer. Got 6 kids with jobs. Whose kids are those? There's a lot of questions citizens could just keep on asking. And I'm one of them. I got a lot of them. I should write them all down. But I'll see you in 2 weeks if I have to wait.
Just a reminder, this is a public hearing as it relates to the budget that was just considered.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody for coming out, but I have to really commend our community development director for going and being able to check on the funds that was due back in 2014 and 2017. And one of the issues that she made was how the timeliness of these funds being gotten, nobody's keeping up with this. And this is money, I mean, it's money, but she's saying that it's something that's due by August the 1st. These are the things that I speak on so much. In order to run a government, you have to be on time with things that is necessary for implementing plans within the inner city. If we have individuals that are not on top of these things, and that's when you have a good steward over your money. You have to be.
Point of order, please. We have a gentleman who is.
You have to. You have to really be on top of these things in order to run a city effectively. I agree with a lot of the things that she said that has to be done, that needed to be done with the allocations of the funds. And these funds, and you know, one of the things, the city is a good grant writer. And we've been missing that for a long time. Somebody that is in control of just running and taking care of those grants, those deadlines, those dates, because it is imperative, you know, for us to continue to move this city forward. And what Mr. Little spoke about when it comes to that dollar ride, everybody know, you know, because I be at all the meetings when it comes to dollar ride. They're not going to take that. We're not going to let that happen, because we're not going to vote into going into something that's broke, that they got broke, and try to add it and merge us with organizations that is not in the best interest of the city. If Dollar Ride was to leave, who would it truly serve then? It wouldn't serve the residents that really, really need it. The people that got to get picked up at their doors. Those that may not be able to go down to a bus stop and catch a bus. That don't even make sense. And for the brownfield to be able to take some money out of the money that's done for transportation, make that make sense. How is this necessary? How is this possible for them to come and just take funds that's allocated for this? The only people that ever gave any money to Dollar Ride is the city of Benton Harbor. But they want to say, well, we'll merge with Berry and Bus. Give Berry and Bus the route that they want to cover by merging. If they merge, they're going to try to make that to where they pick up at certain spaces. They're not going to come to your home no more. They're not going to do nothing that Dollar Ride is doing for the inner city. And that entity will not be taken over. It's a takeover, and everybody that know that. So that's just not even an issue when it comes to the citizens of Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Just a couple of quick points. One, to explain the significance in terms of the money. We're requesting it as a grant so that it can qualify as local match. And the importance of that, you heard me mention earlier that last year's allocation from the feds was some $907,000. This year it's $1,016,000. We were only able to draw $777,000 of that $900,000 last year, because that's all the match we had for it. See, the match works off of a formula that's 50-50 for operations and 80-20 for capital, the buses and equipment and stuff of that nature. So if we don't have that local match, it won't. And other last point, this business of the confusion about this Connect variant thing, all of the other bus operators aren't necessarily pushing that. In fact, we have reached an agreement with the other transit agencies that there would be two in Berrien County, that Berrien Bus, Buchanan, and Niles would form one, and Takata would be the other. But SwimPack and others associated with them didn't want that. They're opposed to it.
No, this is now we're dealing with the public comment of the audience, and then after that the hearing is closed. Then we will entertain the agenda item where the council can have discussion and debate as it relates to the approval or disapproval.
Are we on the citizen comments?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and full body, and to the public. My name is Jerry Edwards. I would just like to reiterate or even thank you and thank the economic director and those that have right to plan, action plan. I would just like to say the repavement of Hall Park is a great thing. And I would kind of like beg, don't let it pass by one more year. I understand the business part, not want to give the Conservancy the money. But when you talk to the kids, they could care less. And they could care less if I pay for it. I think I said this once, on this end of the city, there's nothing there. So they have to travel unsafely from there all the way to Union Park or Broadway just to play basketball. That's not safe. We know this. Commissioner Singleton was there, Commissioner Ison was there, I think that was last week, week before, they seen the condition. So I'm just begging, don't let it come down to where I don't want to give it to the Conservancy. Look at it this way, you're giving it to the kids. Me, I could care less, I'm 64, I don't play no more. They do. They don't have anything else to do on this end of the city. Now, I'm quite sure, I don't know how many of you might have kids come out there or grandkids, but I see kids out there every day. And every time I see one, the first thing they ask me is, when is we going to get a court? When can we play whole court? When can we use the other rim? I can say the commissioners are working on it, but after 2 years, 3 years, I don't think they want to hear it no more. I mean, even you might even get tired of me asking you for it. For 3 years, I had 7 kids. I would get tired of one of them asking me for the same thing for 3 years. I would either get rid of the kid or just get what they asked for. So the only thing I'm saying in regards to that, either you get rid of the Conservancy and pay for the court, or you give the money to the Conservancy and let them pay for the court. Who cares who pays for it? The kids don't. I'm begging for the kids. No, I do not have any kids in this state, so they don't play at that park. I don't have any nephews that play in that park. So, bluntly, I don't have any interest in it. I moved back here for one purpose, and that purpose was to revitalize that park specifically so the kids on this end could play like I played when I was little. I didn't have to walk from Crystal and Highland all the way to Broadway. Walk right there. Some of you parents dropped you off at Hall Park while they had to go do other stuff while other parents watched you play. And when it rained, they went straight across the street from Hall Park, right into the Armory. And after it got dark or the Armory closed, whatever, they went straight to G&W. They don't have anything on this end. Don't deny them that, because we have an issue with 2 entities that they have no idea what it's about. They don't even know why we sitting up in here, to be honest with you. So they don't care who pays for it, who don't pay for it. They don't even know who commissioners are. They don't know what she is, they don't know what he is. They just know the mayor. Oh, he's the mayor. The first thing he asked me, go ask the mayor for some money to get the court bill. That's what they want. They don't want to know who's got to pay for it. They don't want to know about no CDBG, whatever, Brown. They don't want to know nothing about that. So I'm begging you, please, don't let it pass. Don't let it pass another year. Please don't do that. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. I will say for the record. Oh, pardon me.
Stephen McCoy, I think I heard, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that the HUD, Mr. Earl stated that the house on Superior and Pavone would either have to be occupied or tore down. I guess, is there some other way, and I'm just throwing something out there, subject to Mayor and Commission, and please forgive me, Mayor, Commission, City Manager, staff. Is there some other way that the city could preserve those 2 homes and yet pay back the money and then try to regain the money after the houses are sold, instead of just tearing down 2 pieces of property that is ready to be occupied? It's just something that, just trying to put that out there, because I don't think, to me personally, it don't make sense to tear something down that is ready to be occupied and then then the city got to turn around and pay the money back. And then not only that, but then you have to pay to get it torn down. So you're looking to be out of even more funds. So if any way that the city could preserve the two homes and pay the money back, and then try to regain the money once the houses, so that's all I have. Thank you.
The city has a lot to do to not be doing as much as it is.
Mr. Duncan, this is
No,
regarding.
I know.
No, I'm not gonna lie. You
No,
already
what?
spoke.
What are you gonna say?
You already
And
spoke.
you gave me a chance to come here and say something else?
You already spoke. You can speak during public comment.
So you-
This is, the public hearing is about to be closed. And we're gonna move forward with,
Should I sit here until then?
you're not gonna sit there and disrupt the meeting.
I'm not gonna sit here and disrupt nothing.
And we
You're
have to
disrupting.
move forward.
You're disrupting.
No, I'm not disrupting,
I
I'm
have
chairing the
one
meeting.
thing I'd
You've
like
had
to
an
say.
opportunity to speak. We're gonna close the public hearing and we're gonna open up for citizens' comments.
Well, you got away with it this time,
And then
but I
you
am
can
a
comment.
citizen, and I am at this chair. Now, if you
Sir.
if you wanna tell me to get up, if you wanna make me get up, I'll get up.
I'm asking
If you wanna make me get up, I'll get
respectfully
up. I'm not gonna respect
to-
nobody who don't respect me as a citizen and as a taxpayer.
Mr. Duncan.
Now, if
all
I have
due
something I wanna
respect,
say,
I'm asking you to please,
I'm asking you
Return to
guys
your
to please
seat.
do something, and you're not doing anything.
I'm
I mean, if
asking
it
you
was-
one
if
more
the
time.
Cameras are in here.
I'm
is that
asking
what
you
you're
one
in
more
here for?
time,
Is
Mr.
that what you
Duncan.
guys in here for,
Could
just
you
the
please
cameras?
return to your seat?
I'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
This brings us to the conclusion of this public hearing. And out of recess, I'd like to begin with the citizens' comments. Madam Clerk, could you please set the timer for 3 minutes? For those who have registered with the city clerk, she will call you as you are on the list.
Joyce Robinson. Good evening to everyone, the Honorable Mayor and the Commissioners. I'm here for something a little bit different that I hope will bring some joy there and peace to your mind and your heart. I'm here to make a plea. Joyce Robinson, the president of the National Night Out. I was here last year. Some of you may have remembered me. I brought some flyers there. I will leave with the secretary there to pass out. I'm here to make a plea there for the children and the community. This is one of our big events that we have each year, and I get so excited about it the closer it gets to the event there. But anyway, it is hosted by the Benton Manor Neighborhood Watch. We host the National Night Out. This is our fourth year, I think it's fourth or fifth year. But anyway, we have a lot of nice events planned for you. There will be different vendors there that will be participating, Lakeland, Home Depot, and some of the other vendors. Plus, I have some students this year that are entrepreneurs that will be participating. Will be coming down from Grand Rapids, and I was so glad to see them and meet them here last week when they came down there for Mrs. Kanai's birthday. Remember Kanai's birthday. Also, I would, we did add one new event that I came up with there, and that was to recognize our veterans here in the Twin City. I know we have a lot of veterans here in this Twin City there, and even in the township. We want to do something different for them to make them feel a part of the community, because I've talked to some in the past, and some of them went all the way back there to World War I and II, and how they felt when they came home. Like people there wouldn't even know who they were there. They was isolated there. So we wanted to get them involved and make them feel a part of the National Night Out. And Chief Fecky will be speaking on that, and the MC there, Sergeant and Abrams there. But we have a lot of different events planned. And since we did not receive a donation from either one of you all up there, shame, 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 shame on you. What I would like to ask you tonight is that if you would donate 2 large bags of ice for the snow cones for the little kids. Because the snow cones, there was really a big hit for them last year. And even some adults. Then since we're short on donations there this year, and our goal is to raise enough money for 300 book bags there. And we haven't quite met that quota there. But I know God always makes a way, you know. So I'm praying about it there, that we will there. And then Lakeland did donate some drawstring book bags there. But we're still behind. But we are looking for the community, the people here in this community to support us. This is a community event, non-profit. We don't make anything off of it there. We're trying to help bring the community and law enforcement together, to work together, since we're such a small community there. We need to learn to work together within our own community before we can go out and help someone else. Charity begins at home. And this is what we're about there, opening up and extending hospitality to our own people there. And I did bring some flyers I will leave up here with you, and we're looking forward to seeing each and every one of you there. And if there's anything that I can do, or you have any questions or whatever, just contact Benton Manor, and that they will give you my, they will let you know if you have any questions. You contact the manager there, or Tillia there, Martin there, or me, either one. There. Thank you so much for your time. I'm not going to prolong the time because I know we have a busy schedule here, but I just wanted to get this out to you there. And Myers Ice, they're the large bags. I want to step further. The large bags are only $4.99. For the 2 large bags, there's so I do a little extra work for you. Thank you so much. And I'll leave this with the secretary, the flyers.
That's our city clerk.
I'm the city clerk, I'm sorry. The city clerk, thank you all. Thank you so much, and you have a blessed day.
You too.
Madam Clerk. After the citizens' comments, we're going to push the citizens' comments forward.
Mrs. Mamie Yarborough?
Oh, I didn't even sign that. Oh, I just thought it was like, who's here? Thank you, I already talked to them.
Mr. Billy G.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Temple, commissioners, and citizens. I'm here because I'm looking a little rugged because I worked all day in Hall Park. And I just want to say thanks to the city manager. Thank you, okay, for giving us the support necessary. I'm working with a group in which I've worked with since 2007, I believe, called Youth Works. Not only are we cleaning up the park, okay, we also painting senior citizens and disabled people housing in Benton Harbor that could not afford it. A lot of them cannot afford to pay. And a lot of times we come out of our own pockets to do those things. And I just want to say thank you to him, because I talked with him Friday and told him that we'd be down there and we actually want to do a cleanup and also some painting there. We prepped all today, and if you ride by this evening, you'll see it begin to take a hold there, make a difference. It's a lot of hard work, y'all. I just retired not too long ago, and I'm saying, why am I out here? I should be somewhere chilling. But because I'm like majority of Benton Harbor citizens, we really truly love our city. And so, yes, the courts there really need to be repaired. There's a lot of things there that need to be repaired. I've also mobilized a lot of the young men in the community that plays basketball there, that are willing, that will actually be there tomorrow. And so the work we did today, we expect it to actually double tomorrow, and then Wednesday, Thursday, okay? So by the end of the week, when you ride by the park, we pray that you can see a significant difference. In regards to the court itself, there are some, I see some possible injury could happen there, okay, because these guys, if you ever sit down and watch these guys play, they play hard. It's like in the old day, okay, the old days. In the beginning, I walked up to the court and I looked at the young men, and they had this Benton Harbor look on them, and I smiled and I let them know I'm a fighting tiger too. And then I looked into their eyes and their face, and I began to see their parents and their grandparents, and then I began to ask them who their people were, and they told me, and I'm saying, yeah, I know them. Well, you know my granddad and my grandmother? I'm saying, you're making me feel old here. But yes, they at least are willing to work. The park was a mess. It was a mess. We pulled all kinds of bottles and everything out of there. It's beginning to take a real good look. We trimmed some of the suckling trees out from underneath there. It's our plan to, it's our plans to do this. Is to make planters, and we hope that Ms. Kennard could help us with some of the flowers that we can put all throughout the park itself. The rest of this week we'll be up going towards Hull Street, clearing out brush and all the debris that people took liberty and dumping over in our park, making our park become just a cesspool. Well, we're there and we're doing it. And thank y'all, specifically Mr. City Manager, for his support. There are two things that we really do need, okay? We need a potty there, is because as the kids work, they have to go to the bathroom. And so we have to stop work and then take them way back over in this side of town so they can utilize the potty, okay? Secondly, for the planters that we're planning to do, okay, let's see, we're actually going to paint them. And then the kids will paint flowers and all different type of things on it.
Sir, I'm really, really excited on the positive feedback.
I'm just excited about it.
Right, but I do.
Am I past my time?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me finalize this. Thank you for your support. And tomorrow, I believe, Mishi will gather up some of the, if not all of the debris that we have collected. Okay, and just give us the support, y'all. We're trying to do it, and therefore those kids on this side of town or all across the town will be able to come and have fun there.
I appreciate it. I have received screenshots and photos.
Yeah.
People saying somebody is throwing trash bags in Hull Park, not knowing that it's people that's actually cleaning it up.
Right, we're cleaning it up.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, thank you.
Mr. Salima Abdullah.
Good afternoon. My name is Salim Abdullah, and I live at 676 Highland Avenue, Benton Harbor, Michigan. And I'm amazed of how there's nothing being done. Because we have a city manager, we have a working organization of guidance right there, Mayor. But I can't see it. I don't see anything that's filtering down in my block. I don't see anything. I've been complaining about Hull Park for a whole year. All I see is the water coming up and the trees growing up. Kids go out there and play, but they be playing in the wrong spot. And now they're dumping concrete behind the park. And it's not the citizens that's dumping the concrete. There's gotta be a construction company or something of that nature, because can't nobody pick that stuff up like that. It's wrong. It's wrong. And until we get together and work together and be honest with each other, if you can't do it, just say you can't do it. Want to talk to Mr. Ron Single, just 1 minute. Mr. Rucker did not get his garbage can. You promised me he would get his garbage can money. He did not get it. I got mine, but I prefer for him to have it. He's a Buffalo soldier, Mr. Isa. We talked. I've been asking you to give him his garbage can for the little. Please give Mr. Rucker his garbage can. He deserved that. He deserved it more than I do. I appreciate you. Thank you. Bye.
Miss Emma Kennard.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the director of Fresh Start Children's Garden, and I'd like to say we've had great progress this year. The garden is looking beautiful, and no one can say that I've neglected to do anything along there, cleaning the block from one end to another most of the years. But now I'm getting a little tired. I can't go all the way down to the store now. But I want to also talk to Billy. Okay. I'm about to call him the nickname down here. But he's there in that park. Brownfield has not cleaned up that little stream of water. And that water has been, that creek has been contaminated for years. And Brownfield has not cleaned that up. Our children play down in that area and everything. That is not safe. We want safety for our children. We want them to get a quality education. We want the best for our children. Others look out for having the best for their children. We want the best for our children. That's why I get up in the morning and work early in the morning. People will see me sometime watering real early in the morning and taking care of the street and taking care of things. That's because I love Benton Harbor. I don't just say it with my mouth, I make the actions happen. So I'm asking each one of you all to do what you should be doing, is looking out for the benefits of the inner city. Downtown looks good, but we got to focus in on where our children are living. The school system is down, everything. So I want to ask each one of you, what have you all, since you've been in those seats, tell me something that you have done that has made better Benton Harbor. That's from the highest one to the lowest one. And I ask you one other thing. Since we have been asking, since February, this man's contract has ended. You all in violation of your own set of rules, regulations, and all. When you don't post that job. It's up to him if he wants to apply for it again. But you're supposed to do your job by posting that job at the end of his contract. He's working without a contract. And you know, we wouldn't have the problem at 1111 Broadway if he had took care of business for the city like he should have. You wouldn't have been in violation of any of this. So he's getting paid and to manage the city. And if you manage your home and your home falling apart, that's poor management. That's already a reason that you should remove him and put somebody there that will get the city in order. Thank you.
Mr. Marvin Hayes. Mrs. Jane Glass. Pastor Stephen McCoy.
Once again, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, to the City Commission, to the manager, and to all staff. Just in brief, I know we come up here, we beat up on you, we tell you our issues, and then sometimes it don't look like it get done. But I'm here, well, to say thank you to the chief and to the city commission for the loud music. There has been a decrease, at least in my area, and I appreciate that, I really do. All right, now, but I have another issue, and this issue happened Saturday night. I know it happened Saturday night because I left my house. It was daylight when I left home, and I was only gone for maybe 2 hours, and I come back, and my sidewalk have graffiti on it, and I have an issue with that. Now, I have a gentleman who said he can power wash it, but I believe that there's a solution that needs to go with the power wash. So if we could get the solution, we will be more than willing to clean the sidewalk, whatever it is. So please contact me, let me know what we need. Second of all, it's a rare occasion, but right there in my block, there's a group of young people park their cars on both sides of the street. Now, I know we have ordinance of loitering, Ogden. I know we have an ordinance of loitering. I know we have an ordinance of open containers, but I guess they get slick about it because they're using red cups. But it bothers me, and I'll tell you the reason why it bothers me, because these are young people under the age of 18, and they're drinking. Now, you're drinking under the age of 18, that means it's going to affect your ability to think and to react. So, if we could do something about that, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the decrease in loud music. I really appreciate that. But I wanted to bring that to your attention because the loud music is down, but the patrol also is down. So we can get that back up, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Mr. James Duncan.
Okay. I got 3 minutes, don't say nothing. Say that right now. I'm not gonna blame, first I'm gonna say, thank you guys for being everything that you are to the city. You might not accept that, but I don't care. I appreciate you guys for what you wanna do, wanna talk about all the time, and, you know, just talk to you till I'm about blue in the face. We got cameras taking pictures of you guys as you sit there. But what are you doing for the citizens? I mean, for real, what have you done for the citizens? That's a question I have. I don't ever get questions answered because this is not a question and answer session. But I'd just like for you guys to think about it. We got citizens that actually do a lot of things. Go unnoticed, they care less. They'll talk while you talk. And that is about the rudest thing I know. Or try to shut somebody up what's talking. A citizen in a city hall meeting. Now, for a minute and 35 seconds, I want to say, I don't appreciate anybody telling me to shut up. I'm a grown-ass man, and you can't tell me to shut up. You can, but it don't really work. And if you guys can get your house in order, how do you expect to regulate citizens and keep them from talking about it? You can't make us shut up. We come here to talk to you. I mean, the cameras ain't rolling, so you don't wanna talk to us? Mr. City Manager, a lot of things not happening in the city that concerns me. And the river and the lake is two of my main subjects. I haven't seen any progress, and I'm supposed to trust the system. I lost the trust, but I believe in God, so I keep all of you guys in prayer. I pray to Allah too, make sure things go right, because I want them to be right in this city, and I don't want anybody standing over us telling us what we can't do when we know we can do.
This closes the public participation period on the agenda. We do have one last public hearing for the second community development block grant allocations. I'd like to open it up at this time. Director Sims.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I apologize. This was a two-part item, and I wanted to split them up so that it would be more digestible, and we failed to do the second part. So thank you for opening that back up to me. Before you is the proposed budget for the project year 2018. In May 2018, the United States Department of HUD released the program year 2018 allotment amounts for communities that receive CDBG or Community Development Block Grant funds. The city of Benton Harbor was allocated $437,748,000. As part of that, as part of our requirement, entitlement grantees are also required to submit to HUD an annual action plan, which is no more than a plan for how we're going to spend those funds. While the program year for 2018, you're probably thinking, you know, we're already in 2018, why are we just not doing it? So while the program year runs from July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, HUD generally doesn't release the funds until fall, so we get them very late in the year. So that's why we're doing this now. Also, as I mentioned earlier, though HUD is currently in the process of determining whether the city will actually even receive its program year 2018 funds, they've advised that we continue to move forward as if we are. So that's what we're doing here tonight. The proposed budget is before you. I've presented this at the first public hearing. There's only one item here that has changed. So I'll just quickly go through. We have planning and admin as usual. That's the 20% cap, which equates to roughly over $87,000. We have code enforcement again, that salary for our code enforcement officer. We have the Bobo Brazil Armory repairs that we mentioned before. This is a $100,000 investment. This would be year one of a 3-year investment, which would actually, when we're all said and done, it's going to total over $360,000 for the Armory. This item right here changed, and this was added as a recommendation by HUD, that we also include a infrastructure project within this budget year. So per their request, we are including the Territorial Road Water Main Replacement Project that consists of replacing the water main along Territorial between Paw Paw and North Hole. The city will be using CDBG funds to leverage funds that we already received through the FDCVT grant, which is the financially distressed cities, villages, and townships grant, which was awarded to us by the state. And then again, the home rehab loan program, we're for $70,000 into next year's budget year. We will provide at least 2 whole house rehabs and 2 emergency loans.
I'd like to open up for comment from the panel. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. In the 20 years that I've been down here at City Hall, trying to find out how things operate and watching how things are done and how the money is spent and listening and getting to know the departments and how things actually function, this right here is exactly why it looks like nothing is done. Because it's too scattered. This is the type of stuff that I've heard from other economic development directors. Instead of pinpointing one big, large mass project, the way the emergency manager screwed up though, Union Park. And it wasn't actually screwed up, but we didn't get our money's worth because you can't tell me that $400-some-thousand was spent over there. But I'm seeing the same thing just over again. This is like going backwards. And when the residents hear something in regards to Hole and Paw Paw, they're crying out loud about the inner city of Benton Harbor and things for our youth to do. All of our children, I have children that I pick up from the apartments out past Fair to go way over to the teen center when they could have a center right here at their armory in the winter weather where they could walk, which is exercising. Canning classes with Miss Kennard. I mean, when will we ever get together and talk and do some serious action planning is what I'd like to know. I get tired of sitting back here and taking the rap of what this community doesn't think we're doing. I bust my ass in reading and studying and researching. Yes, sir. But I meant what I said.
Right.
And I will not apologize for it.
Commissioner
because
Adams,
it's mine that I'm sitting on.
this is a public hearing.
Yes, it is.
Regarding the Community Development Block Grant, and this is the public comment section.
May I finish my comment, sir?
Proceed.
I'm actually disappointed that the citizens of Benton Harbor are not here. But they elected us to do a job for them. But we're not together on one page. We're not even together on 2/4 of a page. This is somebody else's ideas and plans. Because it definitely isn't mine.
Thank you. I'd like to open it up for the audience if there are no. Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want everybody to know that when you have a pot of money, you spend your money where your priorities are. So if it's $87,000 out of the $400,000 for administration money. Now they say that there's a cap. That's the maximum that you can take. We never talk about the minimum that you could take. So the city is taking the maximum dollar of your money The only pot of money that the citizens really have to their availability is this community block grant money. I see priorities where they should not be. We're gonna take care of 2 houses, whole houses. They're gonna revamp them, do whatever they need to do to them, so we're gonna have 2 nice houses, and then they're gonna do emergency repair on 2 houses. Now go from block to block, I guarantee you in each block, you'll find 2 of these houses that need to be repaired. But we're putting the money in other places. This budget do not reflect the residents' needs. It reflects government operation. And this is what I can't see. We gotta do better. This budget does not reflect you and your needs. Thank you.
I'd like to weigh in for the record. The CDBG budget is put together by, a proposal was put together before the community through the way of public hearings. There are public comments. Then there's a 30-day period for public comment. This department has been through potential outsourcing, no director, a director, no director again, and we finally get a director, and they're attempting to clean up a serious mess that they inherit. So I want to commend the director for what you have stepped into and how you have handled, because at the end of the day, and I have the letter in my office from HUD, we can pontificate, filibuster, disagree about summer funds, Hall Park, fix the court, but the federal government is saying, if you do not spend the money in a timely manner and on projects that are approved by HUD, because this is just a proposal, but ultimately what we submit to HUD has to be approved by the federal government, because this is federal money. So we can argue, we can talk about it's nothing for the citizens, it needs to go over here. When the deadline kicks in, then HUD's gonna say no more money. And we'll still be arguing, still disagreeing, still saying the director, and the money will be gone. So I want to put that on the record for public comment. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. That was excellently articulated, and that's something that we do need to look at. The fact of that for years we had calls that the money had not been drawn down and the money had not been spent. We went from Nicole Brown to Mrs. Strunk, then we had Roden Brown, and we had the last lady, Marge Winters, and I can say that just for the small time of working with our present Planning and Economic Development Director, and this is about this, she has worked to improve the drawdown of this funds, and it's not fair for her to be blamed for what happened for 2014. But I do ask this commission that we do not hamstring this money, because if we play around long enough, you won't get a dime. And I don't think the federal government has no problem not giving you no money. because there are people who surround this area who don't want to give you no money, no way, to better your community or better anything else. So if we do have questions, as a commission, there's a 30-day period, there's a 30-day window, I believe even after today,
That's right.
before it's submitted, that you can go sit down in that office. Because a lot of times, Abraham Lincoln said the test of any man's character is to get him power. Sometimes this microphone makes midgets giants. So we need to go to our office if we have a problem and sit down and talk to her and rectify the questions or rectify the problem. And then, because what I found out is this, at the public hearing, that I went over this, we went over this for a long time. What I found out is that some people will say one thing one day and have amnesia on this day. So we need to somehow find a way to get this money drawn down or approved. Then you can come back to the table and amend the budget. You can amend this later. This can be amended later by the same measures, but let's get the money. You know, we're gonna talk about something in a few minutes, how y'all done trashed the trash. So let's get this money first. Then we'll argue later. And if we wanna amend it in 3 or 4 months, 5 months after you get the money and they approve it, our hood rep, then we can come back to the table and amend that which we said. But if this is already approved, let's get the money. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
I want to open up for the public, the audience. Please rise to the microphone.
I still have the same name. I'm sitting here there listening to you guys, and all the time I was thinking how broke Ben Harbor is. Now I think how Ben Harbor been mismanaged. It's not fair to us. It's not fair for us to have funds that we could use to better our communities, our streets, our families, members, our kids. And you send no money that you don't know what to do with. Or I don't understand what's wrong. Because when you manage money, you have to pay bills every month. Everybody didn't know how to pay a bill. You know what they is due on and all the above. So why is there such a lack in managed in the city? I mean, there's more of you than a man and a wife that manage their home. I mean, you got a whole set of minds there that could come together and do things.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense the way we're being treated. And to be honest with you, we're not going to stand for it too much longer. We're not. We're going to talk, we're going to complain, and we're going to holler, kick, and scream. It's not fair. You're trying to figure out how to get the money, but what you do with it when you get it. When do it filter down to the citizens of Ben Harbor and our kids? We gotta save our kids from these streets. And we gotta stop people from treating us like we don't know what we're doing, because we do know what we're doing. Something's wrong somewhere, and you need to find out where it is, because you got a serious problem. And anybody can see it if they came and just look. There's a serious problem in this city.
Yes, and I just follow her by saying the management of the city. We have a city manager that's being paid well to do it. And this is what we need, is the city to move forward. Money's sitting there and it's needed to be spent in our city. trust the process, what is the process? If we're gonna trust the process, we have to first know, what is the process? So you let me know, what is the process first, for us to even trust it? Right now, we don't have anything to even put our footing into trusting what is going on. Anytime there's been money sitting there and not being used. It's just like everything else, you're not on point with things. When something's supposed to be posted, like even a position, that's supposed to go forward. I mean, it's enough brilliance right here to do that. So we look for you all to do that. And when you come back and tell me, what have you done to make the city operate better? Or what have you done? Then I can feel more comfortable that just know that you are on your JOB. So that's what we're looking for you all when we vote for you, to be a voice for us, to move the city forward. And many of the citizens, they do their job. They work hard in this community to make things work in their community. And we just need you all to do your job. Thank you.
I'm gonna close the public hearing.
Excuse me.
Public hearing, you already spoke with Commissioner Adams. We got a full agenda of items that we'll be able to comment on in the debate and in the discussion. This public hearing has been closed. I'd like to move to the consent calendar items, and I'd like to yield to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the consent calendar this evening, number one is ordinance for proposed local watercraft control, St. Joseph River, City of Benton Harbor, Benton County. The Department of Natural Resources, DNR, has, as requested by resolution of the City of Benton Harbor, investigated the need for special local watercraft controls. This included a field investigation and a public hearing. Based on the investigation, the DNR finds that significant conditions exist that support establishment of controls more restrictive than those currently within Part 801 Marine Safety of the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act 1994 PA 451 as amended. The DNR Law Enforcement Division has recommended a slow, no-wake speed local watercraft control for the St. Joseph River within the City of Benton Harbor. The NREPA requires that the governing body inform the DNR within 60 calendar days that it approves or disapproves the proposed local watercraft control and wishes to adopt it as an ordinance. Upon the passing of the ordinance and after all of the requirements have been met, the ordinance will be considered in effect. The DNR will notify the city of the effective date of the ordinance, and we will be notified of our effective date of the ordinance. Recommendation: that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton Harbor City Commission ordain the approval of the revision and amendment to Chapter 47, Article 2, Section 4731B of the City of Benton Harbor's Code of Ordinance under the heading of Waterways. Next on the consent calendar is appointment to the Communications Public Relations Committee, Ms. Joyce Vance. Joyce Vance is a city resident and a strong advocate of good communication between the government and its people. She has submitted an application to serve on the Communications Public Relations Committee. The Legislative Committee forwarded the recommendation of her appointment to the City Commission for approval. Recommendation that the Benton Harbor City Commission to appoint Joyce Vance to the Communications Public Relations Committee as a representative for a 2-year term expiring on July 16, 2020. And those are your two items for consideration on the consent
motion to accept.
Motion made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Henderson. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yeah.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Abt,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The first separated item for your consideration is amendment to the City of Benton Harbor Council rules. On July 7, 2014, the Commission adopted rules for the governing of the Commission meetings. At the Legislative Committee meeting held on July 3, 2018, the committee reviewed the Council rules. As a result of review, the committee determined that amendments were necessary to the rules. The Legislative Committee recommended amendments were as follows: change the position of committee vice chair to co-chairperson, and insert the language that the co-chairperson shall continue to chair the meeting in the event that the chairperson arrives late for the duration of the item being discussed at the time of the chairperson's arrival. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton Harbor City Commission approves the recommended amendments to the City of Benton Harbor Council rules.
Motion to accept.
There was a motion to accept this item. Is there a motion to move it, and then is there a motion to accept? Motion made by Commissioner Adams.
Second.
And it's seconded by Commissioner Henry. Discussion. Mayor Pro Tem.
Honorable, we done did this 5-6 times, same resolution. I mean, this resolution keeps somehow peeking its head up, and it's a waste of time. If you at the meeting and you're chairing the meeting, and somebody comes who's, if you the co-pilot, and the pilot show up, let the pilot drive. That's it. We playing these little word games. If you gotta meet, call a special meeting and have your own meeting. You know, I mean, this is ridiculous. And it continued, this is the fifth time we done seen the same thing come down the chute. But why don't we just have subcommittees? Why don't we do that? Why don't we be better off having subcommittees, and the subcommittee meet, and you talk for about 10 hours about nothing, and then you come and bring it to this regular meeting, and then we can have a 30-minute meeting instead of having a meeting about nothing that has no paperwork. I mean, I don't know where this is coming from. This is absurd and ridiculous. Let's not waste time. It's 9:19, and we're gonna spend another 30 minutes talking about some nonsense. All right, listen. But then you're gonna have to suspend the charter. This is the charter that we're talking about, so we change. This is a charter amendment, because the charter don't want to speak some chairs and vice chair, and are we changing the charter too? Or is it just we want to talk a little bit longer? Why don't we do this? Let's amend the motion to say that after the chair's done, the vice chair can continue to meet and do whatever they want to do. That'd be a good amendment.
Why you don't have it?
Because this is ridiculous, and I don't have time. I'm about to go home. I've been here all night. Can't handle it no more. We cussing, we fussing, we wasting time. It's time to go.
Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Mayor Muhammad. And for that is exactly the reason why. Out of respect for our city clerk that comes in early and in overload, actually. When I chair the meeting or co-chair or am available and trying to gather information for the citizens, I think that it's important that we respect their time. If we have been on an item agenda and we're about to close it out, it's unfair to her as well as the rest of the public that have attended the meeting to have to go back and discuss something for a whole half an hour if a person is almost a half an hour getting to the meeting. That's disrespectful. Very disrespectful of everybody's time. And if the co-chair is flying the plane, he's not going to be allowed to really to fly or to take off without the pilot. So I couldn't even use that scenario. But I just think that it's very disrespectful, and as a matter of fact, I'm into just changing everything that happened under emergency management, and these rules came about with Mayor Hightower, and I think that we ought to just suspend them altogether and put together our own council rules to go with and fit our city charter. And can I put that in the form of a motion?
Thank you for your
Actually,
comments.
I'm not done. Per Chair Mohammed, Honorable Mayor, I'd like to hold a person to their word. And when you present it and ask me to okay this during Mayor Hightower's tenure, that we could always change it back, and now is the time.
I don't recall such a
I'm sure.
Commissioner Henry.
one thing that we know, that the emergency manager came in and made a lot of changes. They would like for this to be a mayoral run government. They even put it on the ballot. And the citizens refused and did not vote on it, so it didn't pass. But all the rules that were made under former Mayor Hightower were all geared for that change. We've been working under these for some years now, and we know when there is a problem, and we know when there's something that's not working. So it's our job to fix it. It's not working. It's just not working. When one person can come in and, because they're, quote, the chair, and do anything and say anything they want. It's just not the way the democratic process. We're a small community here. We're very local. We're very home ruled. So there is a problem, and we need to fix it. If not this, and yes, something like this came up before, and at the same time the commissioner said, all the chairs that were on board, oh, we're not going to have that problem because we're going to be compassionate. We're going to share with our vice chairs. But it's not working. It is not working. So if this is not the answer to fix it, then we need to come up with the answer to fix it. Because what's going on, taking our time, our energy, and it's not working. Thank you.
Commissioner Singleton has not spoken.
Oh, thank you. What I see, Mayor, is looks like it's a civility issue where, I don't have a problem with in my committee, if I do come in late, which rarely, if the vice chair is discussing something, I just sit there and let them finish, and they kind of whisper over and tell me what's going on, and we continue on. I think it's it might be a communication thing or something, or civility issue as to they need to communicate, but I don't see that being the norm for all the committees.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't know, Mayor, just a point of clarity. For the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I would just digress to the clerk and ask the question. We had 10 items on the agenda, and only 2 of them had paperwork to support it. After we got done with 2 items, I asked about the other 8 items, and none of those items had paperwork on it. So I cannot sit there and talk about something that has no legs to it. And I know it might be offensive to people that these meetings have been real quick and fast. But just like we just said, that it's the clerk's time, we cannot have these city employees who come to work at 8 o'clock in the morning to sit here till 11 o'clock at night and say it's fair. We sat there and we sit and talk. If I come in late and the co-chair has the floor, they can keep the floor. This is something that has something to do with authority. And that's what the biggest problem, that's why they don't respect the mayor, they don't respect nobody in charge. They continue to behave here because of a problem with authority. So let's just deal with the heart of the issue, and let's get the commission some counseling, and we'll deal with it, and just do away with it. That's what the real issue is. We just got a problem with authority. That's why we cussed the mayor out on Monday night. in front of everybody, and don't have problems.
Mayor,
We're gonna call for the question.
I would like to make one last comment, Mayor.
Madam Clerk,
Commissioner Henry,
No.
this is on the actual approval of the agenda item. Are we?
No, you call for the question.
Okay, we need a motion to actually close the debate.
You called for the question, I said no.
Commissioner Henry, we need a motion to close the debate. That's the route that you want to go. Good, Mayor Muhammad.
Make a motion to close the debate, I guess.
motion made by Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Seats, supported by Commissioner Henderson. This is on to close the debate.
So, you're right. Commissioner Henry,
No.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried to close the debate. This is on the actual item. Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Madam Clerk,
Question.
this is on the item
The actual item.
to adopt a resolution approving the amendment to the City of Ben Harbor Council.
Correct. Correct.
So a yay is to approve, a nay is to disapprove.
Correct.
Oh, that is so wrong.
That's how it's up.
Madam Clerk,
Clarity. Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Isom,
No.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
No.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
No.
Mayor Muhammad.
no.
Motion carries. Or, I'm sorry, motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is resolution to submit termination notice to Recycle Industrial Sanitation. In October 2017, the City of Ben Harbor approved the awarding of a solid waste contract with Recycle Industrial Sanitation. Section 9.3 of the executed agreement allows for the contract to be terminated by the city with a 60-day written notice if the services are not being provided according to the performance standards identified in the agreement. The agreement also allows for the termination of the agreement if the contractor has failed to cure any such identified deficiencies within 30 days after written notice. At the Public Safety and Recreation Committee, the performance of the contractor was discussed. Moreover, there have been several correspondence with the contractor related to breaches in the agreement. As a result, it was a consensus of the committee that a termination notification be sent to the contractor in accordance with the agreement. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Ben Harbor City Commission approves city manager submitting to Recycle Industrial Sanitation 60-day termination notice consistent with the executed solid waste agreement.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Seats, supported by Commissioner Henderson. Discussion. Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
I just want to say, before I start, I told y'all so. I got beat that night pretty bad by my fellow constituents. You should never give somebody a contract who does not have a vehicle to do what they need to do. But, after talking to them, that's a winding stick there. Because they never shouldn't have got the contract, but now we're stuck with a contractor. But let me say that I did do my due diligence to go down and see what was going on. And then me and another fellow commissioner going and talking, I think they got bigger problems than just that contract. I'd ask them to call the police and get it figured out or investigated, the problems that they have going on down there. But I will say this, they have the trash cans put out. Some of the complaints was about the city, that we're not providing the correct information. We're not giving the right addresses to pick up. We're not telling them where the water's cut off. But then we're not doing them like the last contractor either. We paid the last contractor no matter what, and we're cutting this contractor's money, and they still picking up the trash. So let's not handicap them because we don't like them, even though I was the first one. I felt pretty bad that night. I got whooped real good by the city commission and told them that, you know, we should give him a chance, and, you know, and he caught a ride back home, got on the Greyhound how he got back there. But you cannot repeat the same process over and over and over. And I don't know how people get to know what bids are. The same thing with a lot of other stuff. But they should never have received that contract, but now we're stuck with them. And I don't want to be in a situation where we cannot pick up trash. So this 60-day notice, I don't know, Honorable Commissioner or Mayor, if I would like the wording of a 60-day termination. I would like, if we do the 60-day termination, maybe we come back in 40 days and review it to see if they've improved the services, if they've improved the process. But when you go down there and just hear what was going on, I felt sorry for the owner. You know, I felt sorry for the man who, I mean, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
So, Mayor, I wanna amend this somehow to say that we will review this in 40 days or go back, because to tell them that we're gonna terminate them, and some of it's our fault, I think it's not right. But there's some other issues there. They didn't have any trucks. The trucks was breaking down. They were dumping down there at the place, industrial sanitation. I understand all that. But if we can come back with a review period, Honorable Mayor, I think it only is fair to the contractor and find out why they weren't receiving money when they were doing the service. It's only right, because there's less trash on the street now than there was when Reliable and I traveled the city, and there is no trash on, even though it took you 8 months to get a container, you know, and the container got a stick on it, you pull it off, you might see somebody's name on it. But I say go back in 40 days and review it, maybe give them another chance at going at it. Thank you, Honorable Mayor, for this time.
Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I do concur with the Mayor Pro Tem. I was one of the ones went down there, and I want to hear the other side too. And was definitely some, you know, internal things and stuff that was going on. But also at the same time, you know, our citizens has, you know, have been complaining. Some have, you know, had to be done to get this thing off center, to get the problems addressed, and, you know, get the citizens' concerns addressed. So I think we're not really in a position to say if it's okay, you terminated me and I'm going tomorrow. Public Works can't pick up trash, you know. Call another contractor and they're gonna stick you real good because they know you need them now, you know. So I think this, by doing it where you get you gotta get a 60-day notice anyway, and you review it in the 40 days. If things do look better, good. But if they don't, 60 days is still moving. So I think that will also give us a time to be looking at other alternatives if things don't work out in those 60 days. So it's kind of like, I guess, split differences or something. But and I think it also sent a message out to any other contractors or service providers to us that we just not gonna accept, any type of service. So, I think in the best interest of the city, I could go with the review after the 40 days.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Thank you, the Honorable Mayor. I have, people are calling every day. They are threatening, they're grabbing you when they see you in public. I think we gotta show the citizens that we here for them and not make a decision on our own, because they pay their taxes, they pay their water bill, and they want to see something done. I agree with the other commissioners, but how long has it been that they have been promising citizens? And it's not fair to some citizens to get them and other citizens not get them. And we gotta do better. That's all I'm saying, we gotta do better. The citizens are out there, they're hurting, they want us to show some sign, we need to show some sign. We can't keep on putting the citizen on the back burner. We have to do better. Thank you.
Commissioner Isom.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Yes, I myself concurred with the Pro Temp and Commissioner Singleton that the 60-day termination notice, I think we should give them 40 days to get themselves together, to work diligently on doing a better job. This is a startup company, in the way it was, this contract came upon, it was dragged on for months before they got the notice. They didn't get the contract until Reliable's contract ended October 1st, and they didn't get the contract, I think, in September. So right then, that it was just a bad deal that they had to hurry up and rush to get containers. And so now that a little fire been lit up under them with this termination notice, I think that they can work diligently on working to get the service better, getting the cans out, and cleaning the city up. And so I talked with Mr. Edwards, and I feel that he's want to clean the city up, and he want to do a good job. But there was some, like you said, internal problems. But I say a good 40-day notice, see what happens, clean the city up, get the cans to the people. Don't do the job, do what we got to do. Thank you.
I'd like the city attorney to weigh in. You have been a part of the process. I know that many of the problems from the very beginning with the completion of a signed contract by all parties was the result of, and this is from my perspective, of not completing certain documentation and requirements to even fulfill the contract, like the performance bond, insurance, company name. Can you speak to that, please?
Yes, Honorable Mayor. As you indicated, this process took some time. WeCycle was then represented by Attorney John DeWayne, and there were many issues, Your Honor, where they could not comply with the requirements of the bidding contract. One of those, as you indicated, was the performance bond. They've never been able to comply with that requirement, and so in lieu of, there was a suggestion and agreement that they would do essentially put money into an escrow account, and we still have not received the appropriate notice that is required under that escrow agreement, Your Honor, from WeCycle. So from an insurance standpoint, they still have not complied, to my knowledge anyway, with that requirement. So The issues regarding the execution of the contract were dragged out for a considerable length of time, and it was because they could not comply with certain of the bidding requirements that were in place by the commission.
Mr. Manager, could you speak to, from an administrative standpoint, the angle that the attorney, from a legal, but from the management standpoint, some of the breaches and problems that precipitated what we're looking at now?
There was several times and conversations that have been had with Recycle. Some of them are in the document now, whereby we were notified that insurances were canceled. We were asking questions about the performance bond or the deposit for the performance bond. And there have been an inordinate amount of complaints that have come into City Hall relative to the company. As I know it's been said that we did not pay them. We've paid them. They've gotten their money. They've gotten their money when they submitted a bill. They've gotten within the confines of the contract, which says 30 days net from the time that it's submitted. The information relative to who was on and who was off. In the contract, it states that there's an audit that's going to be performed by the company because they are out there. And if they see anything that they need to bring to the attention of the city, or someone has moved in or moved out, that they were going to do that. So the city has not, has worked really bent over backwards. And this is about business. This is not about personal. This is about business. And the staff for the city of Benton Harbor is charged with protecting protecting the city. We don't work for the company. So a lot of the information that people are asking the city, we have to go to the company to get, and we've gone to the company to get answers from, and they've not fulfilled them. And or they've done something contrary to what they said they were going to do. We've worked with them and worked diligently with them to get this contract to make sure that they were successful in what they were doing. So that's some of the administrative stuff that is going on, Mr. Mayor and the Commission and residents, relative to this contract that, again, like I said, it's the will of the Commission to do what's necessary, and we will do what we need to do to basically carry that out.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor. I actually disagree with my colleagues on this particular issue, but I agree with Commissioner Helson. We cannot continue to make excuses for people who are not following through. They had a legal responsibility to read, to sign, to understand what the responsibilities were when they took that contract. We are not responsible for coddling them or to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. When they signed on that legal document, they said that they could fulfill a particular contract. If they are not doing that, we're getting complaints from people. I will not continue, and we should not continue with this contract. That's the bottom line. They signed a legal contract. They knew what they were getting into. If they could not do that, they should not have agreed to do so. So we cannot continue to support them. The level of unprofessionalism with which this company has given and shown is unbelievable. We cannot continue. Thank you.
So, I'm gonna look at the resolution here where it says, whereas section 9.3 of the executed agreement allows for the contract to be terminated by the city with a 60-day written notice if the services are not being provided according to the performance standards identified in the agreement. And whereas the agreement also allows for the termination of the agreement if the contractor has failed to cure any such identified deficiencies within 30 days after the written notice. So if there's an issue of should it be 30 days or 40 days, if 10 days is the swivel for 9.3 section, then I can countenance barely 10 days, because this has been the greatest thorn, Pastor, in my side. And as Paul wanted it removed, but it was still there. That's how I feel. Because the call, if you receive some calls, the calls that I have received from residents, from businesses, from tourists, senior citizens, I'm gonna need a toupee if it goes past 50 days of review. So if 10 days, if we need to look 40 days, but I mean this is by contractual agreement, 30 days. So I don't see how we can change a contract or change the wording with the resolution if the contract has already been signed. Is that, Mr. Attorney, could you speak to that? Can you amend the contract to say, amend the resolution to say 40 days and the contract that was signed gives 30 days?
Yeah, I have to admit, I was unclear as to some of the commissioner's comments regarding the 40-day period there, Your Honor. I believe that the resolution is correct, that what you're doing is giving them a 60-day termination notice, which means is you're notifying the contractor of WeCycle at 60 days from the date of the notice that they're no longer a contractor for the city of Benton Harbor, pursuant to the signed contract.
Where it has a clause, I'm seeing here, the agreement also allows for the termination of the agreement if the contractor has failed. So there's a clause to give them an opportunity to make remediations. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor, and I believe that the city manager has put them on notice previously, maybe in March or April, that they are not complying with that Section 8 of the contract, and to my understanding, those concerns have not been addressed.
So, Mr. Manager, because see, this is where, what exactly, because we need to know if they have not, the attorney mentioned insurance or the performance bond, they have failed to provide the proper documentation for the performance.
That is my understanding.
Is that correct, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir. That is correct. If you look at the documents, Mr. Mayor, relative that were submitted with this, there was the first one that's dated April 13th is the one related to the performance restricted account agreement. There was a second one that was submitted.
So hold on, wait a minute. So this one here, this is April 13th, 2018.
Correct.
Can you just real cursory give us some context here?
So what as we have discussed, there was a performance bond that was required per the RFP that was submitted. And when they responded to it, they said that they could provide it. Through negotiations and with the contractor's attorney, Attorney John Dwayne, we came to an agreement that it would be a performance restricted account agreement. That agreement has specifics in it that state that they need to, we've signed it, they need to provide to us the document stating that if something was to go wrong, we needed to get all that information from them.
What do you mean by all what information?
So the document and I don't have the actual agreement in front of me. The agreement states that, for one, they need to give us notification.
Mr. Adams, pardon me, could you please, because you're not even to participate in any part of the discussion.
Excuse me?
That's what I said. So I hear your voice,
No,
but you're not to participate.
I wasn't participating to the question, I was just.
But I should not hear your voice during
Okay, but
debate.
speak to me respectfully.
Respectfully, I need you to remove yourself from the debate. By law. Mr. Manager.
So in that document, it states that they are to provide to us a deposit slip from a bank that they have that was identified where the deposit was going to be made. There was also an agreement that was supposed to have been put together by their attorney on what was to happen if the performance agreement was violated. That documentation they needed to provide to us. So that's kind of what this one is about.
Have they provided?
No, sir.
So if they don't have it in 30 days.
Correct.
They're in breach.
Correct.
Okay. What's number 2?
So the other ones are potential violations of the solid waste.
It can't be potential. It must be breaches and violations.
So this says in here that in section 8 of the contract, that they should be responsible for program management according to the performance standards as set forth in this section, agreed to by the party. There are 2 of the agreed standards that are currently at issue. Contractors, employees, and supervisors shall conduct themselves in a courteous, honest, and professional manner. Contractors shall take immediate action to correct the behavior of any employee or supervisor who is insolent, disorderly, careless, unobservant, dishonest, or acting in any way as detrimental to the satisfactory progress of work under the contract.
Can we prove that?
Yes, sir. There were actually itemized. If you look at this document, specifically outlining what went on the dates that were identified.
Okay.
So those were done.
Okay.
It says the contractor must execute due care in preventing damage to containers and shall replace cans in an erect position with the lids replaced or placed adjacent to the contractor. There's a documented action of that as well in there. The equipment that shall be painted uniformly and must be maintained in good condition, appearance, and a sanitary condition at all times. Each piece of equipment shall include the contractor's name and telephone number. Each vehicle shall be assigned a number that is prominently painted on the vehicle. There are pictures that show that that does not exist. So those are identified violations of the contract in the performance standards that are set forth in section 8. Then the last part of that was when the question was that, it was given 90 days from the execution of the contract. So the contract was executed February the 5th. 90 days from that, in May, they were to have had all the containers given to all of the residents. In here, it asks for the number of containers currently in the possession of WeCycle, a listing of residents that have been provided containers, and the date that all the containers will be dispersed to residents. That has not been done.
So all the residents have not received containers.
At the time of this document, they had not.
So that's a violation.
Yes, sir. So let me say this. If the commission's wish is to provide a 30-day notice to WeCycle to then be cured, that's within the confines of the contract. If that's what the commission is saying, 40 days, 30 days.
We got to stick with the contract.
Or is the commission saying the 60-day termination notice? That's the question at hand.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, my biggest concern is why did y'all vote yeah anyway? With all that we known they didn't have none of this. We knew they didn't have insurance. We knew they didn't have trucks. We knew
I didn't know that, Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, no, we did.
No, you can only speak for yourself.
All right. Well, I tell you, a month or two after, when these notices begin to come out, we should have did the 30-day then when they didn't have insurance, when they didn't have, because I sat right in this building, right here in a meeting, and Mr. Williams said that they were insured with industrial sanitation. Now, I do agree. Let's stick to the contract. But let's take some responsibility too. Because when you tell them 60 days, you think you got a problem now. Who's gonna pick up the trash in 60 days? or 61 days, let them do you like the last company did you and pulled their cans on the last time they picked up trash. Let's not cut our nose to spite our face. If you want to do it, I'm with it. Give them 30 days, but you better have somebody picking up this trash, because if not, you're going to have a problem. And it's going to take us longer now to procure a contractor, because you still have to go through that same process of getting somebody else to pick up the trash. Public Works has not the ability to pick up the trash. Do I support WeCycle? Have I ever supported WeCycle? The answer is no. When I sat here and said the trash juice dripped down Salem Street, y'all got mad about that and said that, you know, that shouldn't be a problem, the trash juice dripping. But I'm worried about what's getting ready to happen. If you tell them 30 days and these people pull out, who's going to get the trash? We should have been notified a long time ago that they didn't have insurance. We should have been known a long time ago that they did not have the performance management way back when this happened. If this happened in May, or April, or March, we should have been notified, and we should have put the cart not before the horse, but behind the horse, and started the process of getting another contractor. So don't have, you're talking about we're doing it for the citizens, but don't have the citizens in worse shape than they are right now. So let's start the process of putting out an RFP for another contractor, because if not, you are going to have a problem in Benton Harbor, Michigan that is much worse than WeCycle, and the citizens are going to pay more money, so tell them that too.
Commissioner Henry.
A lot of miscommunication and no communication, because just from what the city manager is saying and the attorney saying, he said, well, I don't believe so that they're, and the city manager saying, no, absolutely, they did not give us a performance bond or a security bond, and that was way before May, because the last time I heard about the trash, they said they got until May to give everybody trash cans. There's a document sitting right in a meeting where they said they had it to May. Okay, we're thinking the trash cans are going to be put out. But from very beginning, the very first time that we started bidding out this contract, there's been a problem. Reliable was here for 4 years. They came in with trash cans. One man picking up every trash can in Benton Harbor and dumping it. We paid them a set fee. They did not give the city administration money. They didn't ask for it. You never changed, you never looked and said, well, all of these houses we turning water out for, you shouldn't be paid for. They got paid. Never dropped a dime of Reliable's money. Not once. And during that time, there was a big shut-off. Water was being shut off everywhere. Because the city manager, the emergency manager said, you got 30 days, cut it off. Reliable didn't have to worry about that. They kept getting paid regardless. The exact same amount. We didn't ask them to pay administration fee. The citizens paid it. 36%. You paid the city to take care of Reliable's billing. 36%. Now we got a young business, and I'll say a minority business from Benton Harbor, and they're asked to pay a 5% administration fee. Come right out of their payment. Reliable didn't have to worry about that. It's a lot of things that's happened that wasn't fair when it comes to this contract. And it all came from the top down. You as citizens didn't get a letter from WeCycle Industrial or the city for 2.5, 3 months to let you even know that we had a new trash people and why your trash cans was being taken. There's been a lot of problems. But I'll say this, the first year of a new business is the first year that they fail. If you're gonna make it, you're gonna make it in that first year or else you're gonna fail. This company haven't even had a chance to have a whole year yet. And it started from top down. All the barriers that were put in place, performance bond for a new business, no insurance company does that. Us not knowing that the performance bond or the security bond or insurance was not paid was just almost unbelievable. But it come from top down. Compassion. Let's give them a chance to come back and do the right thing. And if they don't, Reliable is standing right there waiting. They come and asked us. They wrote us all a letter and told us what was going on. Thank you.
Commissioner Singleton.
Now, we've been trying, he wasn't here, but to answer some of the questions, but we all know that there were some issues, and you can go back, like you say, probably the last year, really, before the other 30 days, at least 60 days before the other contract ended, we should have had a drop dead date. So we got to take some responsibility. You don't have your stuff. The other one's getting ready to leave in 60 days, 30 days. You don't have your stuff together. We should have, but we didn't do that. Now we're in a position. That's also go along with. I'm saying at some point we need to just get our own, like Benton Township. We'll be here arguing about these issues now, but till then, it's something that I had a question for the attorney through the chair, if we could.
Yes, sir.
60-day notice. If we do that, can at any time, if you stop that, just like eviction notice or something, if things got curved over, the commission decided to say, hey, okay, we stop at 60-day notice.
You're the chair.
Yes, Mr. Attorney.
I guess you could suspend the 60-day notice, but getting to the other question that I heard earlier this evening is that if you do that, then I'm not sure how you would put somebody else in place with the assumption that maybe this group would stay with the contract after giving them the 60-day notice. I would think that administratively you would be preparing to get another contractor in place. So I think the answer Commissioner Singleton is looking for is, Mr. Mayor, is that, yeah, you could undo the 60-day notice. I'm not sure that I would advise that, but I think you could do that.
I think it also would get a time for, just in case it don't work out, that the city should be looking for,
Well, I think that at some point, go ahead, pardon me for interrupting. Were you finished?
Yeah. The notice, you get a notice out, what do? You don't wait till the notice up to start trying to get some things in place. So that's a given. But if they clean up the act and you say, okay, weigh it out, thing good now, you suspend the 60 days.
Well, I think it's a case of, grabbing the tiger by the tail. If you let it go, it eats you up. And if you hold on to it, what kind of struggle is that? To keep it from, it's the decision of the council. Do we want to say 30 days as the contract has it, that after 30, we give you a 30-day notice to address these breaches, or do we do a 60-day termination notice and we cut our losses and move forward? So I think that's what we are confronted with. And then in the event that after 30 days, the notice or the items put before the company is not satisfied, then where do you go from there?
30 days.
After the 30 days, give them a 60-day notice then. So what I don't want to do, because I to my colleague Mayor Pro Tem's point, I was one who wanted to give the local contractor a chance, who wanted to work with a contractor in the city who's going to hire local, which they have done, who have hired persons who needed a second chance. They have done that. So there are certain parts of the agreement they have fulfilled. So I don't turn a blind eye to that side of it. However, the performance side is where the complaints have piled up to the top of City Hall. So I think that, you know, moving forward, tonight we need to look at 30-day, if so, 60-day, but we cannot, in the words of my colleague of the 3rd Ward, continue to kick the can down the road on this issue.
Please.
Because it's starting to really stink.
So do you do 60 days and look at it at 30 days?
And separate them.
So what is?
You can't, we're still bound to contract.
So you have to either get a 30-day notice.
Either get a 30-day notice and come back after 30 days, the city manager give us a report, and from that point, we can proceed with, or 60-day termination notice, RFP, and we solicit bids. Mayor Pro Tem.
That's a point of clarity, through the chair to the clerk. Being that we do have a 60-day termination notice on the floor right now to be voted on, we would have to rescind this
be amended
to be, or amended to 30-day, or do you do the, you can't, because we already got on the floor right now a 60-day notice.
What the resolution, according to the agenda, states adopt a resolution approving the notification to recycle industrial sanitation. So we're adopting a resolution to notify them, which the details are in the proposed resolution. But it has to be adopted to be law, so the proposal can be amended.
The resolution?
Can be amended. Unless the attorney.
Whoever moved for the motion and whoever supported it can move to amend the motion.
Thank you.
You may wish to also inquire the clerk.
Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats moved and it was supported by Commissioner Henderson, but what are we amending? Are we amending something? What part of the?
Well, the person who made the motion can amend.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
I just question the fact of, if you give them a 30-day notice, does it immediately terminate the contract?
No.
So then why would we go give them a 30-day and then have to give them a 60-day? That makes it.
The only reason we would give a 60-day is if they don't satisfy the breaches.
But you're giving them 90 days now instead of giving them 60 days.
No. 30 days to correct the issues. If the issues are not corrected in 30 days, then a 60-day termination can be given, and during that time, RFP for bids can be given out.
So that's the 90 days on the back. So let's just go, I'm sorry.
Mayor, so looking at the body of the resolution, what are we amending?
Well, we're trying to swim through it now. Where it is. Mr. Manager.
What, Clerk Thompson, what we would be doing is, we would, where it says at the recommendation, it was said that Mayor Muhammad Ben Harbor City Commission approved the city manager submitting to WeCycle a 30-day notification to cure deficiencies consistent with the executed solid waste agreement. So all you're taking out is, instead of saying a 60-day termination notice, and changing it to a 30-day notification to cure deficiencies. That would be the modification that you would be making.
So I would have to do that.
Question, haven't we done that? So why would we do that again? And if I'm the person that has to second that, I will not support that. So I won't.
Madam Clerk.
So we're still keeping consistent with the executed solid waste?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So do you agree with that amendment, Mayor?
No.
I can call for the question, we can either vote it up or we can vote
Well,
it down.
we got an amendment on the floor right quick. No?
Right, just ask if you wanted to amend.
Let me suggest this amendment real quickly, since I want to amend this motion.
Or you can withdraw the motion.
Or we can withdraw the motion, but then we had to go back to the committee to do it all over again, which get another.
Right, which we can't do that.
Huh? Y'all wanna do that? Go back to committee?
Do you have an amendment?
I wanna amend it to say, give them a 30-day notice.
What city manager Washington?
Yeah, 30-day notice to procure or to get everything straight.
Manager Watson just said it?
What City Manager Watson just said, but I also want to put in there to provide all documentation that has already been presented. Because if they already presented the insurance and everything like that, and it's our fault, then I want to know that too. But let's just amend it to that 30-day right quick.
What city manager Watson?
What he said.
Is there support from?
Support.
I support the amendment.
Commissioner Singleton already.
Ready for on the amended resolution?
Is there any further discussion?
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I think that the amended motion needs to be supported by the person that supported the original motion.
That's Commissioner Henderson.
Is that right by the clerk though?
I will not support.
And I'll defer to the clerk, but I believe that's the way it should.
We've done it before.
It would have to be withdrawn. And
All right.
Another motion would have to be put on the floor.
I withdraw the motion to approve.
To amend or?
No, to approve this, and then we just go back over it again.
So,
Mr. Manager.
So what Commissioner Cease is saying is he withdraws his motion to approve it as written.
60-day notice.
And I don't know if Commissioner Henderson is withdrawing her support. She would have to withdraw her support if he withdraws the motion. No. If you don't make the motion, she can't support it.
If I withdraw the motion, there won't be no.
That's what I'm saying. No, she doesn't. So now, if you want to make an amended motion, now's the time to make the amended motion.
And it would have to be supported.
It would have to be supported. It would have to be supported by somebody.
The original motion has to be supported by somebody.
Right. Because the motion that you are withdrawing restarts the process.
Restarts the process. Is that right?
And then you will make a motion to
All
amend.
right, so we're gonna make a motion to support the resolution. I withdrew the first one, all right? Withdrew the first one.
You withdrew the first motion to approve it in the current.
Exactly.
To approve recycling, the notification of recycling industrial sanitation. I withdraw.
Well, the motion, I mean, the resolution has been presented. Is there a motion to amend what has been presented?